everyone, and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai.
We are back for another special episode of Astrology Roast. Now, today we have some really special guests that we have interviewed, dear friends Zoe and Meg, and we're going to be exploring the beautiful topic of friendship, which is a topic very close to my heart. But before we dive into our interview with Zoe and Meg, Itai, how are you going? What's the deal?
Well, Mercury is retrograding hard in my chart.
It's been one of the biggest headfuckery of weeks, I would say.
Yeah, so I'm still sick. I have my voice back, but I'm still sick, and I shaved my head. But I was at my school. They did a shave for a cure for cancer, so you raise money and then you shave your head. And I did it, and now I don't have hair. And I was really identified with Samson from the Bible. If you know the story, when Samson had his hair that gave him the strength. And then a woman, of course,
seductress,
tricked him into cutting his hair. And then he lost all of his power and died. But
which is a lesson to any women that listen to this podcast. You know, you do have power. Society might tell you otherwise, but you've got scissors.
You've got scissors. Don't be afraid to use them. And I always identified with Samson in the way that I was really close. I am very close to my hair. Not in a way that, like, women trick me into my greatest failures. If anything, women only elevate me and support me, and I'm thankful for that. And there's also a beautiful song about Samson and Delilah by, what's her name?
Is it Eve? No,
I think she's like the Russian Jew singer.
Regina Spektor. Yes. She drums whilst playing the piano. And
yeah, she has a story about Delilah and how no one is ever telling her story. Like, people tell the story of Samson, but and she says the Bible didn't mention us. And I always feel like she's saying, like, the Bible didn't mention us as the couple that we were and the love that we had. And the Bible just spoke about me as this, enemy. Anyway, this episode is not about enemies, it's about friends.
It is about friends.
And Karen, you also watched the movie.
I did. I watched a movie with you and with another friend, Miss Lauren. I watched my best friend's wedding last night, and wow, if anyone has a spare $4.99 to spend on iTunes rental, this film has really stood the test of time. It is wonderful. Julia Roberts is an absolute and utter dream. She plays an absolute sociopath, and I only realise now, watching it as a 30-year-old, that some of the behaviours that she was exhibiting were really problematic and completely insane. Like, she's a successful 28-year-old food critic. She is the belle of New York, a woman that's really made herself, and she goes absolutely bonkers crazy when someone that she loved for many years but is her best friend is getting married to none other than Cameron Diaz, who really stole the show. But it is a true film. In the traditional sense of romantic comedies, of course, it's all about winning the love of a man and doing crazy, often illegal, embarrassing, debasing, demoralizing activities for the sake of love. And I'm really all for that. The whole time I was like, I totally identify with Julia. She's so normal. And you and Lauren were like, she's crazy. Like, who would ever do something like that?
A Scorpio, yeah.
I think she's probably a Scorpio. But at the end of the film, it's actually truly about friendship. So the friendship after you've had your heart broken and after you've realised that maybe the person that you're in love with doesn't love you back, who comes to save the day? Her sassy friend, Rupert Everett.
Well, is he just sassy? Is he just a sassy friend, or is he a sassy gay friend?
Oh, I didn't say that, but yes, he is a sassy gay friend, and he's just her friend who loves her no matter what. And actually, throughout the film, she's only her real self when she's on the phone to his character, George, when she's going, I've done this, and this stupid idiot, she's endearingly lovable, and how can I break up their relationship? And he's actually the only person that she's real with. So I think it's a beautiful segue into today's episode around friendship. Yes. The things that can outlast so much that we go through in our lives, all the fun, sexy, and toxic relationships that we invite into our intimate space, but friendships are as central. So please watch the film My Best Friend's Wedding. It is unbelievable. Julia Roberts is my goals in life.
She's so great. And he's being a great friend by asking her, you're chasing Michael, Michael is chasing Kimmy. Who's chasing you?
Exactly. He serves the tea.
Serves the tea. And I think it's also, if you already have some spare hours, you can also watch the new Netflix movie that Isn't It Romantic with Rebel Wilson, that makes fun of all these rom-coms that we grew up watching that are still beautiful and entertaining, but they raise some interesting questions like, how does the gay best friend never have a job? Like, he just flies in an interstate to save the day.
He's got no responsibilities. Like, he just is having his best life. So he can fly around to serve advice and information.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's a fair question. He just flies in and out. She calls him at a dinner. She ruins the dinner. She calls him at a library reading when they read poetry, and he just leaves halfway through a poem to speak on the phone. Like, there's no...
Gosh. And their mobile phones are the size of bricks. Like, they whip them out of their purse, but like, you can tell their wrists are struggling to lift up the phone. And wow. And can we just speak as well about how Julia Roberts' love in the film Michael is just such a turd. Like, the whole time he pokes her to, I just love you so much and I can't get through this without you. And
oh my God. He baits
her the whole time. Like, yes, Julia's being crazy, but it takes two to tango, and I am team Julia all the way. And she's that magical smile, those lips and those teeth.
And then the second she kisses him, he literally physically runs away and starts chasing Cameron Diaz. Wow, they really picked names that are similar. Cameron is Kimmy and Julia is Julianne.
And the chemistry on that film, like, it was chemistry between everyone, all the characters. I can't think of a film like that's been happening in the last 5 to 10 years. I feel shivers.
The only one that comes to mind is Second Act by J-Lo. Anyway, we hope you liked today's episode and the beautiful conversation we had with Zoe and Meg, and we're thankful for them for coming and being on this podcast. And enjoy. It's Astrology Rose. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
So we are here with very, very special guests today. Zoe, Meg, welcome to Astrology Rose.
So good to have you.
So good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Hi.
Is this your first podcast, or are you podcast rookies or experienced?
This is my first time.
It's my first time too.
Oh my God, we're popping your cherries.
And it's also our first time having 4 people on our podcast. So if you can't hear one of us, then that's probably a problem.
Our fault. There are 4 people here. So if you hear 2 or 3, there are 4.
And an easy way to identify, well, it's going to be hard to tell, like, obviously by our voices, since the 4 of us has very feminine voices. So we have me, Itai, the Aries. We have
me, Karen, the Gemini. Yeah.
I'm Meg, and I'm a Pisces.
I'm Zoe, and I'm an Aquarius.
Yes. And in order for you guys to know, for the listeners, to know a little bit more about Zoe and Meg, which are here to represent friendship and the entire world. But before you are anything, you are your sign. You are your star sign. You are your sun sign. So, Zoe, you're an Aquarius.
I am.
And this podcast, as anyone that listened to more than 2 minutes know, that we have a lot of opinions about Aquarians and their contribution to the world.
And to your heartbreak.
And to my world and my heart. What do you think? I'm going to give you 60 seconds to defend your sign.
I want to have the opportunity also to be heard on the issue of Zoe being an Aquarius and how fantastic she is. Okay, so I also get time.
Yeah, Meg, you'll get time to defend Zoe because she's like, I don't know what to say.
Because you're a Pisces and you care about standing up for what's right. And
that's right. She does. Aquarius justice.
So before you start defending, I'll just remind everyone what you're defending. You're defending Aquarians, also known as the people without a heart,
Fuckboys
the fuck boys,
of the zodiac.
the ones that know everything before you do, and then you like get it, you're annoyed at them that they tell you something, and then 5 years later you were like, oh my god, they were right.
Or maybe they're your father, and like 30 years later you're like, why haven't I seen you in 30 years? Where did you go? You went to the shops, you never came back. So Aquarius, daddy issues.
Okay, good context. Well, I, as a proud Aquarius, think it's time Aquarians do get a bit of shit on this podcast. And look, I can be a bit detached, and I used to like take some time to reply to text messages, but I think I've really worked through that. And I think I actually care quite a lot about people. I'm a pretty good, warm friend. I think Aquarians can make a lot of stuff happen. And
Yeah, Zoe is I would say that Zoe is very open, really creative, willing to try a lot of different new things, but not just try them, like really putting yourself into them wholeheartedly. And that's people and also ideas and concepts. I think that you really like pave the way for a lot of people around you to try new things. And you have this crazy energy. Like, I'm going to give you one example. Like, I remember when Zoe really got into riding her bike when we were back at uni. Within like a month, she decided that she was going to take a bike trip. And then within about a week, that bike trip had become like a 6-month journey from Brisbane to Melbourne on her bicycle, on her own.
And for anyone that's not listening in Australia, that is like moving from one continent to another continent. Our country is enormous and huge, and no one should ever ride their bike from one end to another end of this country. God. So that is so super bold.
And as a part of that, it wasn't just like designing the trip. Zoe had her bike built from all recycled materials because, of course, classic Aquarius, that's very important to her. Had like planned this trip, had like started like, you know, all of the details. And that's just what Zoe does. She just gets an idea and makes it happen.
So there is hope for Aquarians.
There's hope.
Or for us around Aquarians. And talking about riding in Brisbane, when I was in Brisbane, I saw Miley Cyrus concert, and she was riding a huge hot dog on top of the crowd. She was just flying around riding a huge hot dog, and that was a really beautiful moment.
So
classic Brisbane.
Yeah.
Classic Brisbane.
Also classic Miley. I love that, like the wrecking ball image and how that just went viral. I love it so much. Like the Tony Abbott. Did you see that? Like the Tony Abbott kind of spin-off. Anyway, it's great. Check it out.
I don't see Tony Abbott or gender or race or sexuality. I don't see those things. But Zoe, you are, as we were saying, the ultimate Aquarian, and I just have memories of you at Confest, which is a hippie alternative lifestyle festival that happens on the border of New South Wales and Victoria in Australia. So clothing is optional there. There's a lot of steam rooms and saunas and people in the nature, and I just feel like whenever I've seen you at Confest, I run into you and I'm always like, yay, it's so exciting to see you. And you're like, yes. And then you go to a workshop and I'll never see you again until you're, you know, in an erotic storytelling workshop, or you might be in a kissing workshop or in a tantric workshop. You are just a woman of the world, and you cannot be tied down. And you're always doing something that's idealistic or connected to your values, super passionate and super loving. And yeah, I think you do give Aquarians a good name. Yeah.
Thanks.
We've spoken for you.
I'm glad we covered that, and I'm glad that we brought that kind of like element of Aquarians to, not that they care what everyone they really don't care.
I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah.
But it's good we have that perception. And Meg, you are a Pisces.
I am, and happy birthday to all the Pisces out there.
Happy
Pisces
birthday
season.
tomorrow. Happy birthday,
Happy
Meg.
birthday.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. And we want to ask you, as the Pisces representative, which we didn't have on our podcast yet, any Pisceans.
Wow, we haven't had one.
We had Romy the Witch from Witches
Yes.
Can Have It All, which is a great episode. She's an Aries, but she has a lot of Pisces qualities. But she is an Aries. But you're a Pisces, and Pisces are known to be, you know, very emotional. Can you share with us maybe a story of a time when you were inappropriately emotional?
I think that's probably every day of my life. I think I have emotional responses to things quite frequently. I think sometimes it's an advantage, you know, it is, you know, it does let me connect with people. A lot of the times I think it probably does alienate me from people, but in a way that's very honest and open. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm way too emotional. I think I was saying to you before, one of my earliest memories is of me crying about something when I was a child, and someone very close to me, a family member, just standing there saying, stop crying, in a very angry voice. I'm never going to stop crying. It's just not who I am.
And what a beautiful way to talk about the Pisces experience of life. Constantly crying, and universe, society, everyone is pointing at you saying stop crying, and you can't.
You keep feeling it all.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it can be, I think it can be a good thing. Again, I think it gets a little bit of, maybe not hate, but maybe misunderstanding on this podcast, but it is good to be emotional. Good to be in touch with your emotions, you know.
What do you do when you're, like, for example, at a party and someone says something that annoys you?
Oh my gosh. If I've been drinking, I probably have a really inappropriate response. Such as rage, and then I don't know how to handle my rage, so I probably start crying. Zoe will attest to this, there was definitely a point in my life where I spent a lot of time at parties getting into awkward conversations with people and then running away, so literally running. One memorable party where I was dressed as a strawberry, and I spent like an hour running around the streets.
We were chasing this strawberry through the back streets of Chile. Yeah. We actually saw someone get robbed, get rolled in the street, and we were still looking for the loose strawberry.
And I was just running
You're
and
just
crying.
looking for your punnet.
But no, I think I'm a little bit more balanced these days, I hope.
Pisces are also known, though, to be quite psychic and also prone to substance abuse and mental health concerns. So do you identify with those other watery qualities of the sign?
Well, obviously some of my work colleagues are listening to this, so hello, hi,
Yeah.
people I work with. I'm clearly not making disclosures that might, get me, struck off the list of my profession. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think when you feel, also like when you are picking up on the emotions of people around you, and I work in a job where there's a lot of the people around me, they're not maybe doing so well, like the people I work with, so it is hard to deal with that, and one of the ways that I deal with it is drinking, and I think that is quite common.
In the legal fraternity, that's just a way
incredibly common. And
I've seen Ally McBeal, so I know a lot.
It is just like Ally
I rest my case, Your Honor.
Okay.
My dream is to have sex in a unisex toilet at work. That's my dream.
So that's why everyone's advocating for unisex toilets these
Absolutely.
days.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Think about it. It'd be so
I love
great.
that you're like, I'm not making any disclosures, but now it's a dream to have sex in a unisex toilet, just like Ally McBeal. These limits that we are setting in this podcast, which are then broken by a Piscean legal mind.
That's right.
Future. I think we just brushed off a moment that I still have a vision in my head of a woman dressed up as a strawberry running in rage around
Chile.
the streets in Chile.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful image, and I think it's more, maybe we should more change our ways when we look at people at the street and we wonder how they got there, to just say they're probably a Pisces.
They might be a Pisces who've just had a random argument that probably in any other context would have meant I wouldn't have responded at all, but because of the special combination of being in a social, maybe having my social anxiety feeling a bit heightened, and also of maybe being a couple of glasses into my evening, I've decided to have a very inappropriate response.
To run, and it's like away. My best friend's wedding, and we are here to talk about friendship because Zoe and Meg are the best of friends, and they are a true testament to the importance and the value of friendship. But of course, my best friend's wedding is also about that, and I've watched it recently. And your story about being a strawberry that's running from the party, and Zoe, you are being the friend that is chasing the strawberry. And in my best friend's wedding, there's that classic moment when Rupert Everett's character, his fantastic character George, is on the phone to Julia Roberts, Julianne, saying, you're chasing him, he's chasing her, who's chasing you? And it's a beautiful segue into friendship and how that can outlast any of the crazy, intimate sexual relationships that we had in our lives.
Definitely.
And a shout out, obviously, Meg, to your boyfriend, Nacho.
Yes.
Doesn't get much airtime, but we are here to talk about friendship. And Zoe, Meg, you've been friends for a long time. How did you both meet? And was it love at first sight?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It was a pretty early connection. We were both two kind of dorky, cute kids at at uni studying Russian together in a strange, obscure classroom in Brisbane.
Yeah, it was definitely, it's wonderful. The University of Queensland, the School of Languages, it was a very impractical approach to studying languages that we had in Russian class.
Why would they even offer Russian in Brisbane? Like, what is the use?
There's actually a big Russian community
There
in
you go.
Brisbane.
Okay, well, I've just been put in my place. I'm sorry to the Russian community that's obviously listening. I respect you and your right to exist.
But yeah, other language courses that I've done, and we've both done, they're very practical. You know, there's lots of conversation focus. Our Russian class was not. It was very grammar focused. We would have to like go around the room and read aloud, like from really old like stories from the Bible, you know, like the Good Samaritan and stuff in Russian. All this vocabulary that we're just never going to use. So,
but it brought us together.
It did bring us together.
We found each other through Russian.
Yep.
And then Meg said she was going to go to Russia, and I said I'm going to come too.
Yep.
Well, Russia really is the country of friendship.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
everyone's
absolutely.
the best of friends.
comment-
there.
We're basically
beginning.
tattoo, you know. This is basically it.
So we then spent 3 months studying together in a very small room about the size of this table, where we had 2 little beds and a kitchenette and had Christmas there, and only ever had 1 key the whole 3 months that we were there.
Yeah.
Gave each other little 15-minute breaks sometime, but we can spend a lot of time together.
So
we
you
have
lived-
spent a lot of time together.
You lived in the same room and
Yes.
you had 1 key.
That's it.
Yeah.
Only the 1 key. There was another key, but we you know,
We
at
never
first we didn't really know how to pick it up because we didn't understand the directions that we were being given, and then we decided we don't need that key.
Yeah.
You know, we are each other's keys.
Did you have that crazy moment when you meet your new like best friend or a new friend and you just can't stop talking and you're just so excited? You're like, hang on, but I've got to tell you this. And
Lasted for about like 6
Yeah.
or 7 years, I think.
Yeah.
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 We have
But
a lot to
also,
say.
something that I kind of hear a lot of people that are meeting new friends when they're 20 and up and older is that it's kind of like at the beginning almost like dating. Like you're scared. Because, you know, usually you have your friends that you always knew and you don't even remember the first time you saw them.
Yeah.
But then you have friends that you make when you're older, and it's like you don't want to be... It's like you want them to like you, but it's a choice-based friendship, so they can also choose not to be around you. So
Yeah.
did you have that, what if she doesn't like me, or how do I get her to like me?
I definitely remember the first time I went over to your house. I remember going over to Moggle Road House and like we like hung out. We probably like made lunch and then like sat on your bed and like lay on your bed and talked. Like it sounds like a date, you know. It sounds like
Yeah, we've had some pretty datey times,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that's led to some, like, perhaps other people struggling to compartmentalize our relationship, because
Yes.
it is a relationship that's been probably the key relationship in my adult life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very. Yeah, I think both of us feel like we are really in a relationship together. We're in a wonderful friendship, and that's just as important to us, I think, as our romantic relationships. And
Yeah, it's
yeah.
you know, it's been hard for some of my romantic relationships to understand it, and I won't lie, this one's been the priority. That's
And
why I'm single.
My
still.
family as well, like, have asked me on more than one occasion, you know, like, you know, if you and Zoe are actually, you know, wanting to be in a different kind of relationship, that's okay with us.
it's nice that your family's very open and accepting, but also clearly no one in society can understand the
That's
depth
right.
of your friendship and how it can
Yeah.
eclipse other relationships in a really positive way.
Yeah.
Just for context, while they were now talking in the past 2 minutes, they were fully looking into each
Eye-gazing.
other. I don't think I maintained that eye contact for more than 10 seconds in my life.
Or with
So-
an Aquarius, like as well. It's like, and do you find that the qualities of your star sign, because I know that both of you have started to take a deep interest in astrology, which I think is amazing. All of us here today have been to Manika, the best astrologer in the world.
Yeah.
So we all have a sense of that. But
Shout out to Manika.
Shout out to you,
Always.
Manika. You're amazing. She's obviously not listening and doing much more fun things. But have both of you found that, you know, your qualities, your star sign qualities have influenced the depth of that friendship? Zoe, you're an Aquarian. Meg, Pisces, but we also know the rest of your chart as well.
We do. So different sun signs, but we've got pretty similar and complementary charts. We've both got a lot of fire.
Yes. Yeah.
Lots of fire, lots of Sag.
Quite a few
bit
placements
of
in Sagittarius.
Aries, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're both Leo rising, which probably explains the hair. Obviously, the listeners can't see, but we have Curly
messy
hair.
hair.
Yeah. And we were talking, is there not much earth for either of you?
There's
and
almost no
we
earth.
spoke about that because, you know, Zoe, we're also air signs, so I feel like we understand this. I also have not a lot of earth in my chart at all, but I'm never attracted to earth star signs at all. I'm like, it's like I don't have it in me and I don't want it. I'm happy to float and fly, but it's really interesting. So we've got the watery emotional qualities and the air qualities and the fire in the rest of your charts, and no desire for any grounding.
No.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty like kind of forward looking. I think both of us are maybe moving towards some like finding ways of grounding or earthing as we get older, move towards our north nodes, all of that kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's the fire has kind of led us on lots of adventures, and we kind of make stuff happen.
And in complementary ways as well. I think, you know, Zoe being the fabulous Aquarius she is very... She's so organised and great with details and really great with planning. So I think together we have like a lot of great ideas, but then, you know, we're able to kind of carry them through because Zoe's good at planning.
But anytime I don't know what to do, like with my life, or the other day I like stacked it when I was running and was like bleeding and crying through the park. Like not the only time that's ever happened, but I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I'll call Meg, who lives about 2 hours away, but I knew she would know what to do. Yeah.
So why do you think, obviously you're describing a relationship that is so meaningful to you and been so big in your life, and even your family, your friends, your exes, like I'm sure we're all aware of that kind of special person in your life. But then when your sister, for example, came and said to you, if you are more than friends, just tell us, as if like viewing, like you're so close you can't be just friends. And I loved when you earlier said we are in a relationship, we're best friends, like that's our relationship. So why do you think people don't value, or maybe they value friendships, but it's never as equal or as valuable as romantic relationship? Why do you think that is happening for people?
I think that there's a lot of it's bound up in like kind of social norms about relationships, and I do think that you know, for various reasons, for many years there's been this idea of, you know, the nuclear family, like maybe that was kind of the way that, you know, morals were going to be protected in society, particularly, you know, in epics like, you know, like the 1950s or...
And we can, in the work that we've all done, I guess we can talk about the nuclear family is obviously the safest place for people to exist.
Yes.
A really safe unit that we need to stick with.
Yeah.
Guy, that's sarcasm.
For our listeners, what's that work?
What's that work? Sorry. I have done social work, and that's how I know Zoe from my social working career. Zoe, you've done...
Yeah, social work too, like in the area of family violence. So seeing a lot of, some of the darker sides of family relationship.
And I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so I work primarily with people who've broken the law or have been alleged to have broken the law.
Yeah, but you're a criminal defense lawyer with a heart of gold, and you see the heart of gold in everyone you work with.
I sure do.
Which is like, again, Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Sex worker with a heart of gold as well. Like
I am so like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman.
I was thinking Hilary Swank in Freedom Riders.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I was thinking Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds.
Yes.
Oh, God, I've never seen any of these films.
What the world needs more is white people coming to disadvantaged areas and teaching them about their feelings.
Yes.
Well, I think there's definitely not enough movies about that. But I think, I'm really curious to know why, because you just went to like a family setting was viewed as like the people that should nurture you in all ways.
Yes.
And I remember like for me, like growing up, my actual friends were more, they meant more or as much as my actual family. And I remember, you know, growing up thinking, everyone keeps saying blood is thicker than water, but actually what if your blood relationships are bad or not even like abusive or bad, like in that way, but just not good, like, or boring or not nurturing to you. And then your friendships are actually the people that give you that constant, like if you look back, some of your friendships are like the most constant, apart from your iPhone and your phone, but are the most constant and they're always there for you. But yet still it's not as valued as like waiting for your one true love.
Yeah, and I think female friendship, like there's been a couple of things lately, like I think even with Sex and the City, I think that's why that show was so popular in the 90s, because it showed these 4 friends, you know, it's a celebration of friendship. I mean, it's obviously problematic in lots of other ways, but now with shows like Broad City and even the...
Don't get me started.
So great. But did you read the Elena Ferrante novels, the Neapolitan Court? So it's these...
I don't know who that is, but I'm inclined to say yes. I've read her or his work.
Oh, they're so beautiful. They're like these books about these two friends who grow up in, it's Naples, right? This kind of impoverished part of the city, and just their lives. You know, this very... a really beautiful telling of this friendship sort of in its high points and in its low points. And I think it's, you know, it sold so many copies. It was a huge bestseller. And I think it's because there is this real need for people to see and to read about and to experience friendship, the importance of friendship. Because
we don't have so many spaces where we can talk about how important that is. I love that you've mentioned Abby and Alana on Broad City, because I've been devouring the final season and watching so much YouTube of both of them talking about their friendship and their working relationship. And they really started off just with that chemistry that both of you described with your friendship around just sitting around a pizza shop and just feverishly making jokes and writing bits and starting to record themselves on YouTube. And then they've now become this powerhouse of friendship. And we talk about female friendship as if it's this weird thing that shouldn't happen and this strange alien where they should be just there talking about their love for a man or their need to find the one, but they're just
competitiveness with other women.
Exactly.
You know, that's the way that women are portrayed, I think.
And they talk about how they all do their own projects separately, but then they bring it back to this collective creative expression, which is also their friendship as well. So it's super nice. Itai, I know that you've probably got a lot more to say around Oprah and Gayle's friendship, another friendship that was questioned as, you know, them being potential lovers, because we can't just accept that Oprah and Gayle could just be the best of friends.
I know, and it's exactly that. I think a lot of people look at Abby and Ilana from Broad City and say, wow, like this new type of friendship. But I'm like, it was always there, we didn't see it on screen. Like that's the thing. Like I remember obviously growing up and having a lot of female friends as a young gay guy in the closet. And like you talk about things, you talk about sex, you talk about, and like people are like, girls don't talk about these things, but like they do. And Gayle and Oprah.
Yeah, also so Oprah is an Aquarius and Gayle is a Capricorn and Abby is an Aquarius and Alana is a Taurus.
Yes, I think Ilana is either a cusp or I don't know, because I always feel like Ilana is an Aries because she's so crazy and like she's, you know, like when she FaceTimes. When Ilana FaceTimes Abby while having sex, or like on the toilet. So I feel like on the toilet is more of a Taurus mood, and
ultimate lazy.
And on the well, also while having sex is also a Taurus.
Do you reckon Oprah and Gayle also do that? Like, do you think they call each other whilst they're on the toilet, or maybe making love? Well, or it's not, it's a generational thing.
I think it's a generational thing. But I don't know, because I wasn't exposed also to friendships of that kind of sort, because they were literally nowhere. And the only one that was Oprah and Gayle, and everyone said they were hidden lesbians. So, there's an interview with Oprah in one of these, like, you know, big 60 minutes or like deep conversation specials on ABC. And the interviewer asks her about Gayle, and this is a little bit of a response. A lot of you maybe heard it because it became a meme where people will like put a really random thing and then they put Oprah describing her love to Gayle. And when you hear it, you'll understand why maybe putting that right after you describing I don't know, your barista that doesn't acknowledge you, or I don't know, anything, a Tim Tam packet or whatever it is for you. And this is what a little bit of Oprah's response, and we're going to play it for you right now, and hopefully no one will sue us for copyright.
She is the mother I never had. She is the sister everybody would want. She is the friend that everybody deserves. I don't know a better person. I don't know a better person.
Why is it making you cry?
Shoot, wasn't gonna cry here. It's making me cry because I'm thinking about how much I probably have never told her that. Tissue, please. I now need tissue. I've never told her that. Because, we're not like, oh.
So Meg,
So yeah. Meg, how are you feeling?
So I'm crying, obviously.
Oh my god, tissue please, tissue please. This is a real podcast with real feelings and real people.
These are
Real
real tears.
tears.
Real
Real
tears.
tears.
It's not the first tears that have been cried recently. But
Yeah,
This
that's
morning.
right.
so Meg, how are you feeling?
I just think that's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. I think especially for women as well of that age, and I would imagine for men too, like to have a way of putting into words and articulating friendship as being so important. I think that's really, really beautiful, and I would love that for everyone. I would love for everyone to be able to share that with the people in their lives that are important, and to acknowledge that there are so many people who are important to you in your life. Listeners, tell everyone who you love that you love them right now.
Exactly, because it's like, you know how bad stuff. Bad stuff was culturally is a gay thing, right? Everyone that's not gay is like, it's inaccessible, because if you're straight and you do bad stuff, then oh my god, that's so gay. And if you're a girl, it's like gross, poo, like I don't want to do that. You pretend at least. And then love was also taken, but not by gay people, by romantic love. It's like there's so many different types of love. I hope my analogy is like clear. But
Nicki
what I'm
Minaj
saying-
is on board for it.
Great, because what I'm saying is love, even though there's
Inappropriated.
exactly by romantic love, and it's
Yeah.
any other love. And Karen, you talked about how when people lose a friend, but when people lose a lover, how it's like an acceptable grief. Like,
Yeah, I think when we have these friendships that, as you were both saying, like, our friends know us better than so many other people. They've seen us at our worst. And sometimes friendships end and friendships begin. But as a society, like, your other friends aren't going to come over when you break up with a friend to say, come on, bitches, let's go shopping, and here's the Ben and Jerry's, and let's all help you grieve. And I think friendship is this central, beautiful aspect of our lives that society at large needs to recognize. I think and you're both such a testament to people that are articulating that and celebrating that actively. Like, do you have like anniversaries? Do you have special things that you do for each other?
We do. We definitely have some special things we do for each other. But I think we both got in our charts. We've both got some elements that kind of find it difficult, find kind of traditional relationship structures a little bit difficult and need to challenge those in some way.
Yeah.
I think part of that is about paving our own relationships and holding our own around the importance of this relationship and finding ways to honour it. And I hope you like your birthday present tomorrow.
Oh.
But yeah, we're in a relationship. So
Does it feel good to finally come out about that?
it feels real. Yeah,
You're in a friendship relationship.
we're in a friendship.
You're primary.
Like
I think we've
relationship.
been out for a while.
Yeah, I think we've been out for a while.
It's true. Like it's the worst kept secret. Like, you know, the two aunties living together or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, it's so special. I think it's wonderful.
it is. And what I like about astrology is that astrology doesn't really view any placement more important than others. Like, obviously, some planets will be more influential in your life and some are less. But love isn't viewed as like the ultimate, you know, like there isn't any like astrological thing that says these are the most important thing. Like, there's 12 houses and they represent 12 areas of your life. There's 4 elements. There's all these things, but nothing. And it's people that actually come to the astrologer and say, tell me about my love life. Tell me about this. But it is actually like, you know, you have a house like house 11 ruled by Aquarius that is about friendship and is about the relationships in your daily life and the relationships that are not romantic.
Yeah,
specifically.
non-traditional structures around relating and how we are in the world. Very Aquarian. And then Pisces being at the complete end of the zodiac cycle of like utter consciousness and psychic awareness. So the fact that you're both at the end of that cycle of human growth and development and celebrating that and sharing that in your friendship is so beautiful. And now here being on a podcast talking about that to others, to encourage others to not value other friendships or relationships more or less, but to value all of the ways that we relate. I think that's so just cool.
There's so many ways of being in relationship and being in to have our relationships.
Spoken previously on the podcast about polyamory, and I think that is
Have we really? Like, oh my god!
but that's
I'm super conservative and traditional, so I think maybe this is a sex positive, open-minded podcast, and I didn't even realize. Thank you for mirroring that.
but it's not just about sex, and that's the idea of polyamory. It's also about, like how to give importance to different relationships in your life, and how to really create less of a burden on what we would traditionally see as those primary relationships by creating space in your life to also really value the relationships of other people that you have around you. So I think that's one of the key teachings of polyamory. It's like, the ability to love many people at once simultaneously, to not feel like love is this finite resource.
That's probably a topic for another podcast. In my head goes straight to like, if I'm focusing all of my love and energy on thinking about how I can key someone's car that's hurt me emotionally, how can I, is that finite, or can that be shared with other primaries or secondaries?
You could key many cars.
Yeah, or bikes. Some people don't drive cars anymore.
That's right.
Like this new age of Aquarius in the end of Pisces month has been throwing me into a tailspin of... Anyway, but yes, I agree.
I think there's many Gemini possibilities for you in this area, Karen.
Yes. That's it. You can be stalking multiple people.
Thank you.
Stabbing multiple
and you
people.
are.
You even helped me with some recently. Much appreciated.
That's true. So he came to me with... she didn't ask me for advice, but I've used my stalking qualities for good lately.
Yeah,
so
she's
that's
very skilled. She's very skilled.
Thank you.
So we went to the endless source of information, the Gemini ruled, the Mercury ruled internet. It is Mercury ruled, but Virgo is also Mercury ruled, but I feel like the internet is more on the Gemini side of Mercury.
Yeah.
Those, 10,000 tabs open at all time. We asked on the Instagram account, which is the best sign you ever had as a friend. And just to tie it in with what we're talking about, when we asked a few weeks or months ago, which is the worst sign you ever dated, that post has like 5,000 comments right now. And the post of the friendship has just under or just over 1,000.
Oh.
Which is, again, I don't know if it says about the intensity of emotions that we feel. I think it says a lot about maybe what we're used to engage with online, because it's always the things that are interesting is like the exes or like post breakup or love or whatever. But we do have 1,000 comments to explore. So thank you to everyone that commented. Surprisingly, the most common answer is Aquarius and Taurus. And I'm saying surprisingly because the worst sign you ever dated was also Aquarius. So
we're complex creatures.
Or maybe people are just like so automatically used to commenting Aquarius on astrology-related posts. But I'm going to read a few, and if you have any comments or if you relate to anything, if you are in this episode, Meg, Zoe, and Karen, you can verbally say that. If you are listening and you want to message us and say relate or disagree or agree, do it. So Ali, future guest on our podcast, wrote, and I really agree with that, and she's a Pisces, she wrote, Taurus are the best friends. They're loyal as hell and dependable. They always have cozy homes, which are nice to hang out in. They're also so stubborn and judgmental. They're fun to gossip with.
Wow.
True.
Well, I recently learned about Taurians. We also give a lot of shit to on the podcast, so I'm trying to also give them a bit of airtime. But I learned that Buddha was a Taurus. So, I mean, the previous episode I spoke about Hitler being a Taurus, but also Buddha, the ultimate earthly,
So grounded.
There's a
grounded.
range. There's a range there of Taurus.
Exactly. So it makes sense.
I feel like the beauty of mankind is like you can find a horrible man under each of the 12 signs.
And no women for any of them.
You need to really go through like 50 different tabs until you get to like a woman that is mentioned, but still. We have, okay, so this one is a Cancerian comment. It's a very Cancerian, and you'll hear it once you will. Cancer here. Mine was a Pisces. Keyword is was. She was my best.
We're not laughing at this person's feelings.
Oh wait, we're not done laughing at this person's feelings. She was my best friend for 6+ years, but we had a major falling out. Second would be a Taurus, who is also my boyfriend. So I'm like, very Cancer, like put all of your relationships under one roof.
And what a great kind of symbiotic, potentially needy relationship between a Taurian and a Cancer. Best friends, relationship. It's good. Healthy.
They always say like, in the wedding vows, like, you're my best friend as well. And then like the actual best friend that was there from like rip.
Like it's the maid of honor who's actually done all the bloody work.
Was I just dumped? Okay, Sagittarius, and I chose this comment because it's such a Sag. It's actually more of a presentation of a Sag than of a who is the best friend. I'm a Sag Sun, Taurus Moon. My faves are Libra moons because they are peaceful, harmonious, kind, and like to do nice things for people. Leo because they are loyal and talkative and interesting and never make you question where you stand with them. And Aries because they are so fun and exciting to make you feel alive and like anything is possible. And then they tag their friends and did a hashtag, and it's @mcow and @wetdildo, #Grand Fire Trine, which is like this whole comment is a celebration of fire signs, and that's why I really connected to it. It's like a Sagittarius saying the best people in the world are Aries and Leo @wetdildo. It's like Sag power. And then someone wrote, "Oh my God, Aquarius is getting so much love," and an Aquarius commented saying, "Let's not act surprised. We are the most loyal sign when and capital if we actually love you."
So it's true.
And it's true.
It's true. Wow.
Okay, another good Cancerian one. I have many Aries friends, but they tick me off a lot. I have a really loyal Scorpio friend, but she always ticks me off.
Okay.
I dated an Aquarius once, and we were the bestest of friends for ages after the relationship ended. So probably an Aquarius, although now I'm in a relationship with a Libra, whom I was so close with beforehand. And then someone just commented, "Seems like everything ticks you off."
Oh my God, I think we need a moderator for these forums.
But then the nice thing I think again with the Cancerian is that a lot of their friendships like are very blurred lines. And what I like the most is that you two, Meg and Zoe, went to an astrologer not for them to tell you when you're going to get married or when you're going to find the ultimate job and like what people are really looking to hear, like the biggest moment of your life, but actually to explore how you two are connected through astrology.
Yeah, and Monica was, I don't know, she thought we could be sisters because of how similar. We have a lot of placements that are in the same, so a lot of our houses are in the same place, and I think, like we've said before, having the lots of fire in our charts as well makes us really compatible. But yeah, it's been fun to think about the ways that we're similar, the ways that we're different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was wonderful. Speaking about Chiron, Monica loves Chiron.
Oh, she does, yeah. I love Chiron too. Chiron, for those who don't know, is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that was discovered later on in the zodiac, so it's kind of relatively new, but it is where Chiron falls in your chart, and I may or may not be wrong with this, but it represents the wound or maybe some issues or challenges you had that you will then transform to heal and help others. So unfortunately, Chiron was the wounded healer who could not heal himself. So he had all these issues and he helped others, but he couldn't kind of get his shit together. But in this scenario, yeah, your wound that you can then use to help others. So mine is in Gemini, so it's all about not having had a voice or not being able to properly express myself, but then using expression and voice to heal or to heal others and myself.
And my Chiron is in Gemini too.
So we will talk. So
it.
maybe we can do an episode about Chiron as well, because
or
it
wounds.
Or wounds. We never really.
We don't talk about that. It's pretty. Yeah.
So Meg and Zoe, we want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing. I think you have a beautiful, inspirational friendship, and that should be more visible and more acknowledged for what it is by society, and people like Oprah and Abby and Ilana and Gayle and all these beautiful, and Amy Poehler, and there's so many.
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Yeah, there's so many friendships and people that are standing up for each other and saying that this relationship matters more than others. So maybe, hopefully, the world will change eventually.
And I think we would both like to say thank you to the both of you and acknowledge that you are also an example of wonderful friendship.
Special
Like two
friendship.
friends.
I don't talk about it.
I know we don't
share those things.
You do have
just
this-
tissues, please.
You've got this
I'm much
name.
more-
What would you like to say now?
Oh my god, no, obviously, yeah, Itai's friendship. Itai's a human. I could speak and wax lyrical about him on the podcast, but he'll get weird because he's got shaved head at the moment and he feels really like hot and skinny.
And sad.
And sad. He's got hot, skinny, sad vibes at the moment, so that's challenging. But yeah, a true test of a rich, beautiful friendship that I keep learning from. And, be it in this country or when we're countries apart. But yeah,
And
lots to say. But we don't need to say it now.
we don't, but I will also say that Karen is obviously a relationship that I have that is very important to me. And we're also probably one of the most stable ones in the way that we spend so much time together, and she'll always I think will be the funniest person that I can hear, and even her describing how it's even the description of the feeling she felt when she bought something in the supermarket. For me, it would be the most interesting story I'll hear today.
But I'm one of the most detached Geminis ever. So even though I've been living with you, Itai, for 3 years and had the pleasure of your friendship for that long, which has been a true joy, I will still refer to you, to the home that I've lived in with you, as my home, because I don't want to seem too needy or attached. So I'm like, oh yeah, so in my home. You're like, but wait, what? I live there too.
And it's true. Karen doesn't want me
Slowly.
to feel like she clamps me into someone else's life, because you know how sensitive I am to my autonomy. So sometimes we'll be at a cafe together, just us, and someone will message oh, I'm coming, are you there? In a group where both of us are in the WhatsApp group, and Karen will respond, I'm here. I'm oh yeah, I'm going to be here for the next hour.
Oh my god, but don't feel like I have to come. It's fine. Do your own thing. I want to keep people's autonomy.
What can you do? There's a Virgo moon in the room, there's an Aries, there's a Gemini moon, there's a whatever moon. It's hard, but it's delightful and it's great.
And I think with all our friendships, we all know how to complement one another's needs and to celebrate the differences, as opposed to trying to make each other change to fit into our way of being, which I think is friendship at the ultimate.
Indeed.
And this is a very Pisces thing to say, but even
Do
if
it.
you're not saying in words that you love each other, I would suggest that the listeners of the podcast would definitely be able to hear
Big
that
love.
you do really love
Big
each other as
love,
friends.
yeah.
And I think
Of
that's
course.
probably why a lot of people love listening to Astrology Roast.
Not a dry eye in my house.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the listeners that many of you are actually becoming our friends on the Instagram and in real life. And I already...
Is really picking a lot of new friendships from
Yeah.
this. Every second or third day you're out with, I'm just out with this listener. I'm going out for a drink.
But I see it. I see everyone as
beautiful.
friends, and especially online, I feel like people write to each other about their lives, and that's also maybe an area to explore how friendships that are in real life, in person, or our friendships that are online they're all kind of real and valid to people.
Definitely.
And can I mention the two listeners who came to the live Astrology Roast episode who just had each other's star signs tattooed.
Tasha
Was it?
and Liz, which are actual friends, and we went to festival together, and they had each other's star sign tattoo on their bodies.
Aquarius and Capricorn?
They're Capricorn and Libra.
And Libra.
Oh, and I love meeting people that are such good friends, and just all they want to do is interrupt the other friend to say how wonderful their friend is. Like, just like that Oprah and Gayle quote, she just wants to talk about how amazing her friend is and wants to push her up. And it's such a rare and beautiful thing in society that we should all be celebrating more.
So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Astrology Rose.